Quality education for the whole person, without prejudice based on origin or social situation, was a hallmark for Mackenzie since its beginning in 1870. A Reformed Christian vision gives focus to an integral education of human beings, created in the image and likeness of God, for life in society and the realization of their full potentials. Focusing on the humanities and the sciences, Mackenzie is committed to development and progress, with social and environmental responsibility, and a constant quest for excellence in academics and in the management of its resources. Today, Mackenzie is present in several states and relies on a growing infrastructure to serve students from elementary school through graduate and professional education. Mackenzie is also engaged in the field of healthcare through its hospitals, as well as in agriculture and technical education through trade schools and a farming school. In the fulfillment of our calling to provide a well-rounded and engaged education, we have pioneered in Brazil by always including sports as a key component of education, boasting well-known players in various sports since our founding, and year after year increasing investments in our Olympic and Paralympic athletes. Not only have sports been an important part of our history, but also Mackenzie has been recognized for its significant role in Brazilian sports history. We continue to chart new paths to expand and reach other Brazilian cities and regions in accordance with our strategic expansion project, including our recently acquired hospitals and medical school. Beyond simply offering technical and professional skills, Mackenzie is concerned with the whole person. In basic education, we have schools providing quality and cutting-edge education in several locations. We have our educational materials and textbooks, the Mackenzie Teaching System, and Mackenzie Educational. Not only our own schools, but also hundreds of partner schools use these teaching resources. In this way, we are offering the Mackenzie pioneering tradition, as well as a Christian worldview applied to education to all of Brazil. True to our international origins, we also offer to our school students English language immersion programs and partnerships with well-known institutions for double diplomas with validity in Brazil and abroad. As an inherent part of the Christian worldview and life view, philanthropy is a crucial part of Mackenzie. Besides need-based scholarship programs in all levels of education, or the many social programs in partnership with third-party service providers, the free program for young people and adults without access to education, AEJA, is a great example of our commitment, opening the doors for a university education, expanding horizons for a full life in society with hope and confidence. That is the Mackenzie way of caring. In higher education, our several campi offer courses in a wide variety of areas. From the humanities to exact sciences, life sciences, and healthcare. The tradition of excellence and quality that Brazilian society has so fully recognized continues to expand to new areas and segments. The first-rate infrastructure, coupled with a highly educated and experienced teaching staff, in an environment that encourages fostering social relationships and providing quality continuing education. The importance and excellence of Mackenzie educational tradition is recognized in very objective terms by its position at the top tier of the best university rankings in Brazil. We are committed to education in humanities, technology, and sciences. that shapes professionals for leading roles in society, whether in the market workforce or in the academic world. Mackenzie is preparing for now and for the future.
Good morning, everybody. Before starting the day, Before starting the day, we are talking a little bit about our program. Let's start. Our PPGCFTG post-graduation program, Controllership, Finance, Technology, and Management. Our program is divided in three big teams: Controllership, Technology of Management, Finance, Accounting, and Governance. As our three main lines of research. Nowadays, we have two programs. Our master program, that's 24 months, 54 credits, 4 main disciplines and 5 optative ones. Is one of our main programs. And we also have our doctorate professor, Hanne Nørreklit, from Aarhus University in Denmark. Professor Hanne Nørreklit is a professor emeritus of management accounting at the School of Business and Social Science, Aarhus University in Denmark, and at the Institute of Management, Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna, Pisa, Italy. She has also held positions at the Norwegian School of Economics, Bergen, Norway, Manchester University, UK, Gothenburg University, Sweden, HEC Paris, France. Before entering academia, she worked as a controller and financial manager. Her research focuses on the foundation's validity of performance management and management control. Indeed, she coordinates the research network on pragmatic constructivism, focusing on developing a productive and beneficial relationship between research and practice. A particular concern is the construction of trustworthy management narratives and performance measurement, hence disputes the post-truth discourse. Thank you, Professor Hanne. And also, join us today is Professor Wellington Carneiro. Wellington Carneiro is from Mackenzie Presbyterian University, Master in Business Controllership from UPM in 2017, Bachelor's in Accounts from the University of São Paulo, FEA-USP, Accountant with Active CRC, equivalent to CPA. He's Senior Management Accountant for Latin and Canada at Verizon. He's focused at accounting and supporting the business. He has been an assistant professor at Mackenzie Presbyterian University since 2021. He has experience in the financial area with an emphasis on accounting controllership, having worked for large multinationals such as General Mills, Verizon, and SKF. He's researching topics in management accounting, lean manufacturing, just-in-time, TQM, Kaizen, continuous improvement, knowledge management, operations, A&T, actor network theory, press theory, discourse and critical discourse analysis, language games, and accounting. Thank you, Wellington. The lecture in the format of discussion is expected to be last 40 minutes, and following, we will begin the Q&A. We ask everyone to keep their camera and microphones off and send questions via chat. Therefore, I will give the floor to Professor Hanne to begin the presentation, and Professor Wellington to feel free from this discussion with Professor Hanne. Thank you guys a lot.
Thank you, Thiago. It was amazing. Professor, maybe if you want to start now. I have prepared some questions, but I leave to you to present first, and you discuss in the ending, okay?
Okay. Should I start now? Or?
Yeah, please.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Can you see my slides?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yes. Thank you very much for inviting me to this presentation. I'm very honored, and I think you have a very impressive record, and it's very interesting to listen to introduction of your institution. I have 22 slides, so I hope I can do it within the time frame. But you're very welcome to interrupt me if there's something you want to sort of ask question related to. So, but the title is related to the better life or the good life and pragmatic constructivism. And that means I will say this about what is a paradigm. And paradigm will say that you have something about what is the world about and how do you get knowledge about the world. And we sort of, it's very sort of important in relation to, because the paradigm sort of govern the way you create knowledge. And if you have an incomplete paradigm, then you get problematic knowledge. And there's also, this is about, we actually live with paradigm. Sometimes people say, why do we need paradigms? But we live with paradigms. We go out and do things, and then we have assumption, what is the world about, and how can we get knowledge related to it? So some of the concern I will sort of try to address here is that despite we had never had so many measurement models in them, we get so many problems. We have the financial crisis. We have a problem with sustainability reporting that sort of doesn't really report what we want to do. And we have create sort of human precarity and social and conflict. So we have a lot of problems related to it. And of course, there are many reasons for that. But one of the reasons I will argue here is also because of incomplete paradigms. So what I'll try to sort of in this presentation is to say that my ambition is that we should have some trustworthy accounting measurement basis for evaluating and analyzing our decision making. And we should also try to, when we have this information, actually to achieve our sort of successful results. We don't only do it for measurement, it's because we want to control it to a situation, and I will here argue for that it's about a good life related to it. So this is what I will address here. So the aim of my presentation is sort of to investigate the possibilities to provide trustworthy information for performance measurement, claims and methods. Just a minute. I think can I increase the size of? Okay. So first, I will argue that the dominating paradigm within accounting is problematic, and then I will argue for pragmatic constructivism as a better sort of foundation to try to develop more trustworthy information. Could someone tell me how I could make my screen here a little?
No, it's nice, Professor Hanne.
Okay.
It's nice to see.
Okay,
no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see.
Yeah, good. So, if you look at the, in accounting, there are some dominating paradigms. Okay. Yeah. The dominating paradigm is this about representational realism, and it is sort of inspired from natural science, and it is assumption that there is an objective world out there, and that we want to describe it, and we can make a sort of one-to-one presentation on that, and then also discover the laws related to it. So that is one part of it. At the other side, we have social constructivism that says, oh, for instance, the economy is not just out there so you can describe it. It's all a social construction. And the way you, for instance, have accounting, it's just arbitrary. It could be differently. So it's a social construction, and it's about power and sort of and the forces of the social. So these are these two sort of dominating paradigms that has a tendency to compete with each other and exclude each other. There's the one that sort of assumes this very mechanical view, and then the other is the social view. And the problem is in that way that where you have this representational realism, yes, the social constructivist has some point in this. So often, because it's not just about describing what is out there, it's more complex like that, then there might be a sort of tendency that when we measure, we just use the numbers that are easier to produce. On the other side, we have the social constructivism that sort of say everything goes, so it's power and domination. And that I would consider sort of quite problematic because in the real life, everything does not just go. And there is a sort of, so therefore I would say there is a sort of need for more better understanding of a realist than the one in natural science related. We need, there is something, and we need to understand it better. And there I would say that pragmatic constructivism try to create another sort of more, for practice reason or in the social reason, more realistic. That's what I would argue here. And what is then pragmatic constructivism? Yes, it is very much about that it's actually it's an ontology about practice. So it's about how to understand human practice. And the argument is that, yes, in research, you can have this paradigm and you can have this paradigm, which is rather reductive, realist or social constructivism. But when you are in practice, then you need to grasp the reality related to that. And it sort of say that, yes, our actors are in the world. So we have the actor, and they may want to construct a business, and they have to do something there. So they construct the relation to the world. But this, not all construction are equally good. You may make a plan, and it's not very good related to a business or traveling or whatever your social event. So not all plans are even good. Some will just create an illusion, and we will like to have something that are successful, something that works, so we sort of achieve our intention. So pragmatic constructivism is concerned about how to make things work in practice. And in order to that, it has some sort of epistemological apparatus to try to produce valid information to guide decision making and evaluation. And there it actually sort of tries to make the distinction between what is real and what is an illusion. This about you can have a plan and it's just wishful fantasizing, or is it something that can be real related to it? So this is the sort of overall ideas related to pragmatic constructivism. I'll say a little more in detail about what it is, because it's related to that here we have the world, and there are the physical world, there's the biological world, there are some human beings out there, and they construct also something related to some technology and different things. They have feelings and likings, and they like, and they create some social institution and relationships related to that. So when you are out there, you are an actor, and you have some ideas, you have to construct yourself in relation to this sort of dimension of the world. And there you would like to have a successful construction, that you achieve what you actually would like to achieve. Or if I invest in someone, you will also like to make sure that this person actually achieve what he says to achieve. So how is then this sort of relationship to the world organized? And it's organized around language or language games, which is sort of the theoretical concept. And the idea of language games is that what you say and activity is linked together. So you sort of language use and activities are sort of come together. And to illustrate that, for instance, you have a builder and an assistant building a wall, and then the builder calls out 3 blocks, and the assistant hears the words, fetches the blocks, and brings them to the builder. This is a sort of simple language games. There's one who says something, and there's an activity to that. It could also be bring me a cup of tea or whatever, and then someone do it. So this is sort of the idea of Wittgenstein. What pragmatic constructors say, yes, that is true, but the language does not always work as we want to do it. We need then sort of to have a functioning language games. And in pragmatic constructivism is that it has to integrate 4 dimensions of realities: facts, possibilities, values, and communication. Going back to the builder, yes, I mean, he says the word blocks, but does the assistant brings the blocks? It depends upon, I mean, do he actually have the blocks? Can he actually have the possibility to carry them? That is related to possibilities. Is he motivated to actually to bring them to the builder? And does he actually understand the language? So these 4 dimensions has to be integrated to make the language games work. But then if it is factual possible, linked to the actor's values and understanding, then it works. And this is what we call construct causality. Then this about causality is not just out there. Of course, there is some physical, but it's something you construct related to it, and then it works. And then in accounting and in business, it is important sort of to have some observation, some knowledge about will it work, did it work? And so we can see, is the construction illusion or is it actually reality? So when people come and say, now we want to save the world or the climate change, then is it actually factually possible, and does it actually lead to the values we want to achieve? So this is so basically related to pragmatic constructivism. And if you then go into sort of an organization, then you have different activities, and they are run by different language games. You have the accountants, they have a certain language by which they try to create something. You have research and development and engineer, they have their language to create some new things, and sales and marketing, they also have their language related to how to sell, and they have to create integration within each of the activities. But when you run a company, you also have to create this integration of factual possibilities across activities. You have to coexist. It's not enough to say, okay, the marketing department, they can sell, but if they cannot sort of operate together with the others, then there are many evidence, then it cannot function. So this is a sort of related to that. And in order to do that sort of and control it, we in management and accounting and in accounting, then you need some numbers and measures, and that goes together with some narrative about how to make them work together. And then, of course, within each activities and across the management, they create knowledge related to it and develop over time and may create more and more effectively. So they have to create it together, and that actually involves some co-authorship related to, but I'll come back to that a little later. What I was do now is more sort of go into details of each of these dimensions. We have the values, the facts, possibilities, and something related to learning theory, and then the communication. So I'll go into each of these dimensions of pragmatic constructivism, and I will then sort of illustrate the dimension in relation to financial accounting, business reporting, sustainability reporting, and finally, if I have time, something also on the digitized measurement system. First, what is values? And then we say that values, I mean, this is related to what people desire, what they want for themselves and for others, and for the society. And when people start their activities, they want to do something to realize their values. So values is what you like, and that drives your activities. But then what values should we go for? And in what we have sort of discussed is that there are the basic values. And what should that be? Is that just to get a lot of money and then count them? Is that the basic value you want to have in life? And this is say, no, it is the good life. So it's about, and what is the good life? That is related to that people are sort of flourishing and in the real life. And that is not only people, we also need to make nature and the social life flourish if we want to relate to sustainability related to it. And then there are some instrumental values. And instrumental values is, I mean, we need resources, we need the social, we need also hospitals and financial systems. So we need some instrumental phenomenon, and they have values. And they are, of course, important for our life to exist. But are they real instrumental values? So there we make a distinction between real instrumental values, and real instrumental values are what contribute to the realization of the basic values, the good life. So that must sort of guide economics and sort of also the power related to it, that is the good life. And then, of course, it's a complex matter. I will come back to that. But money by itself is not the good life. We need to control the economy in such a way that we create the good life, and the good life not for nature and for human beings related to it. And that is, of course, a complex issue which we can discuss further. So what is it that should be sustainable? It is the sustainable of the good life and the real instrumental values that can create the good life. So that is the value dimension. Then I come to this related to, but we need knowledge about the fact or possibility to realize our values. So what are the facts related to that? And what are the possibilities? And what are their integration in some way for these related to values? And there, I think sort of, what is facts? I think there are some confusing in the social science literature, in the accounting literature, that what is a fact. The facts is that the sort of that thing that the presented claims are based on evidence. It's not think out there. It is something about that you had created some knowledge, so you know something related to it, and that creates sort of a bridge, an epistemic bridge between the linguistic symbols, that is sort of the claim, and the world. And that is it's a process. It's an epistemological process. It's not just to look. I mean, we need something related to that. And so it's not as the realists say, it's just about, and then we see this is this. No, it is an epistemic process, and it's something related to concepts. And there we can have facts about a lot of things. If we do an effort related to, you can have something related to the mountains, not only how many tops you have, but a lot of things related to the volcano and things like that. You can have it related to temperature, Earth temperature, the number of species. I mean, you can also relate it to money issues, because we have some concepts about money related to it, and pain and likings and financial values. So that, and also about kind of causality in physics and in finality related. So there's a lot of things we can actually, if we do an effort, try to get knowledge about. And when we talk about some of all the problems, for instance, the climate change, it's important that we actually know whether it's facts or it's just something that we say. So, and this is some of the challenge related to it. So, what does it actually require to make good facts? In order to have facts, we need good concepts. It's not enough just to make a number. We need to have something related to it. And that means that we need to have criteria for measurement concepts, for instance. And when we make our measurement concepts, we relate it to purpose. I mean, in accounting, we know that something different costs for different purposes, and also financial accounting is related to what kind of purpose you want to do. And there are differences between if you are a farmer and if you have to estimate climate change. It's different kinds of requests you make to the measurement system. And then you have to outline the concept through its content, abstract meaning. For instance, rain, that is drops of water falling from clouds in the sky. And then you have to have exemplar related to it and illustrate this is actually sort of, this is rain yesterday. And the more sort of you need to control it, the more you can create criteria-based meaning in related to quantification. So you may have rain may be defined as size and density, the drops of water, and in that way, the more, and not only I felt that my hair got wet, but the more you want to control it, the more criteria you need to have. And there you can actually sort of, you want a lot of things to have measures related to temperature, to financial wealth and sustainability and customer satisfaction and so on. This is what we want to measure, but they are actually not directly observable in the world. Therefore, we have measurements, and they talk a lot about that. I think in the natural science, but in the social science, I'm not always sure that it's so much clear that we need a measurement. And that is that a mechanism that assigns a non-apparent property to a phenomenon to control it. So we want to, for instance, to measure temperature. And it's not something we can just look at and count directly. So it's more sort of an abstract quantity of phenomenon. And therefore, we need to define it as a function of a set of specific measures. And there we can quantify it. And there we have had something related to temperature, where we have this related to the mercury. So then we have this mercury in it, and now we have other technology. So we can then say this is a measure related to the measurement of the temperature. And I think that is this about having good measurements is important related to it. And if you go to accounting, then we can say that accounting is in some way a measurement. We want to have a measurement for economic value. And in accounting, we have struggled to develop good concepts and criteria for concepts. What is a cost and what is a revenue, and sort of that is a tradition that has developed over time. We have then some challenges related to this observation. I think it's very sort of well linked together in the conceptual framework. Some of the challenges this about that if you go to historical accounting, then you want a transactions-based accounting. We want the facts. And that is based that we looked at what has been factual possible. So this is related to, for instance, sales. It's factually possible to meet sort of some customer values. So we try to have some observation on that. But we also have some challenges related to, for instance, accounts receivable, because there are embedded possibilities. Yes, there's effects on sales, but can he pay? Will he pay? That's something we make judgment related to in the future. And then in the historical accounting, we say, did he pay the next year? So we make a pragmatic test on that. This is something related to stewardship accounting. But when we talk about decision making, then we want possibilities related to it. And when we come to fair value accounting, then we will have like to give more of the historical and more look at the factual possibilities related to it. And when you come to this fair value accounting, then it's more related to future orientation than in the historical, and therefore the factual basis is more uncertain, as you know, related to that. So this is some of the problems related to accounting. This is about the historical, that's more related to facts, and then the possibilities related to what it is. I'll just go to. And then we have all these measurement packets. For instance, the balance scorecard related to that. And there you want to measure not only the financial values, we want also to measure the customers' aspects or the internal processes and learning and growth. Maybe sort of we want probably to have measurements related to that. And then we sort of make some measurement areas, such as customer satisfaction and new clients related to that. But in these packages, the concepts are often very open to interpretation. What is it actually related to customer satisfaction? And so they are not so good, well outlined as accounting concepts as such. What is it actually? How are the concepts? What is it related? What are the criteria related to that? And of course, when you go out, it sort of varies. It's very broad concepts, but what does it actually specifically refer to? In some way, also the same when you talk about environmental or sustainability reporting. There you also have some areas, this area you want to measure, and then it's not very sort of outlined what is it actually it has to do, and you want to reduce greenhouse and supply chain waste. What is it actually sort of related to it? So the concepts in this are not so clearly. It's very easy to become something what is easy to measure and not what do we need to measure. So many concepts are poorly outlined. It's measures at hand. So this is related to this facts. So, and that is related to the concepts. But we also want to have what is the meaning of these facts. And that is related to the possibilities dimension. Yes, we have, this is, for instance, customer satisfaction, or this is accountant. But how does that link to action? What are the consequences, sort of linked to possibilities? For instance, we know if it rains, the cornfield gets wet. We have quite sort of, that is okay, it rains, then it gets wet. That is related to. But we have other things where we have a lot of uncertainty, like we also, to one extent, has in accounting. But here we have a sustained increase in global temperatures will lead to irreversible environmental, social, and economic disruption, extreme weather events threatening biodiversity and amplifying socio-political inequalities and worldwide. And then, on the other hand, we are quite confident that climate change will not be catastrophic. But if you are going sort of to control our practice, we have to look at the arguments related to it and try to see what can actually holds, what is trustworthy in that related to. And some of this is related to this about the future related to it. And someone say, oh no, it's not so bad related to it. And I'll come back to this. But there's also linked to that these consequences, they are also linked in some way to values. I mean, yes, it will not be catastrophic for whom? For my generation, for the next generation, for the poor, for the rich related to it. So there are some related to that actually these factual possibilities has consequences for our values, whether we can have a good life or not. So this is related to, we need a narrative to understand the facts and how they are linked to possibilities and to what extent that realize our values. And that comes to then to this relationship that when you go to possibilities, then we don't have direct facts. At the time of planning, you can only have a proactive truth related to it, based on experience and anticipation. When it's related to rain, yes, we have experienced so much, but when it's related to climate change, then what does it actually lead to? And therefore, we talk about what is important to look at the pragmatic truth. That actually, yes, they related to these dimension of the consequences, they have predicted this, and this is the consequences. So we have to, in some way, to say, we anticipate, does it go like that? And in that way, we can build up more sophisticated knowledge, which we have to have access to and understand the context for. And then we can have more sort of learning over time and related to that. Yeah. So if you look at and take this into accounting, yes, then we have this related to quite related to facts, and we have in historical accounting worked with a lot of this related to pragmatic truth related to it, that we have the customers or the account receivable, and we check it whether it holds related to it. But when we come to the fair value, there is a risk that you project the possibilities, but you never really check the pragmatic truth related to it. So for instance, related to strategy, then the manager, oh, they make this strategy, and then it didn't hold, but now it's a new situation. So you never really check whether the manager is actually good to make strategy is related to some situation. And the other thing is related to this about that in the accounting, it is very reductive to what it measures. It is not. It is not the real economic. It is only the finances aspect, and that we have tried to make these additional measurement packets, but they have some problems related to it. So in the additional packages where we have balanced scorecard, where, for instance, there is this assumption related to that if the customer is satisfied, then the company will be profitable. So this is a sort of a narrative linking to these sort of observation. But I mean, it's not. Enough that they are satisfied. They also have to be willing to pay for becoming satisfied. So they may be satisfied because they get all what they want, but it's not profitable. And of course, as accountants, we know that related to it. But there are some related to these sort of assumption of relationship where a lot of things is just an error. But how solid is this error related to the possibility in the measurements? And that is also related to this, related to sustainability reporting, where you have often not so well-defined concepts, and the implications, for instance, for the environment or whatever we are going to, may be sort of more questionable related to it. To what extent, reduce supply chain waste, but how much should we reduce it, and how do we do it related to it? So we need better measures, and we in the concept of facts, and we also need more on what are the possibilities linked in these facts related to it, and does this actually lead to the values we want to have? So this is the question where we have these measures, and then we say, and we have, oh, that's good, and we do this, but how solid is it? And I think we have to be more effort to put into these aspects. So then there is the communication dimension. And I had this company related to where you have the different departments, and communication is related to how to engage with other values and ideas about factual possibilities. And then we could have in the more monological voice, which is in some performance measurement or management models, where you have sort of the hierarchical top-down and then implementation. So you have the managers, they know what to do, and then the other have to execute it. And in that way, you disregard the local actors' insight into what is actually factually possible, and so on. And in the pragmatic constructivist, want to say that you have to build on the local insight. You have to look into what are their perception related to what is factual possible, and then engage with that and create, for instance, co-authorship between different units. So say, okay, but then we can develop a little and so on. So you need co-authorship related to that. And that is probably also in relation to when you talk about about sustainability. Should that be someone, now I'm from Europe, should they sit in Brussels and say this is this and this and this, and if you are vegan, then we will be sustainability? Or should we try actually to create some measurement system so you motivate people locally to develop sustainability solutions? And their pragmatic constructor will say we have to build on the insights. Yeah. Then a final point in relation to this communication, that is the digital language which we are having now. And what does this digitization of measurement means? I mean, the digital language is some way where you you have some atomic elementary sentence, and then you want these sentences to project the things out there, and this can then be true and false. So the elementary sentence has to mirror something out there, and then it can be true or false. But the question is, when you mirror this out there, is that then sort of a one-to-one translation related to it? And if you look at accounting models, then we can say this is this logical structure, and you have all these sort of observation about numbers and monies, and there's a quantified structure, and you can say, you can formulate in a digital language what is for and what is plus and minus and things like that. You can probably have a rather, if you program it correctly, then you can sort of mirror the numbers. And therefore you can have a lot of benefit related to that when you calculate. But what about when you go into the more sort of complex things? For instance, about customer perception of service quality or users of questions. There you have some more complex things about, are you satisfied with the teaching? Are you satisfied with the meal? Are you satisfied with something? That is more sort of, what do you want? What is that has to be done? And often what we do is we put this Likert scale evaluation, and then we put it into a 1-2. And then what is then behind this? And often this is much more sort of a fact. And then when you have many different people who makes these sort of, then you add it up. What do you then have? And if we see sort of, for instance, in research where we have all these ranking lists, then they are made on the whole rankings. We don't really know who are here. For instance, the Financial Times, but there are around 200 institutions that have said this is a good journal, this is not a good journal, and then you rank it up related to that. And if you go in and see it, we can see that these journals are, those that are good journals, they are American editors, and they are sort of, I think 85% of them are American editors, and they are also related to its other, related to that. So you get a sort of certain centralized power related to that. And this is a lot of, we see the research, but we see a lot of this that is digital and what is actually behind it. And there's very much sort of risk of we get what Searle called the Chinese room. And the Chinese room, I mean, I don't know why he called it, because maybe it's because of the Chinese boxes, but there you have a person, a manager maybe, and it's a locked room without windows. And he cannot see the world outside the room, but he communicates with his sort of people related to it in an inbox. And he doesn't really understand the language, but he has a dictionary. So he gets this information related to that, and then he translates this into a sort of a message which he sent out again to the employees or whatever in that, and he doesn't really know what it implies, but he has the box and related to that. So today we're producing a lot of these sort of information, and they come in, and some of these managers, they are sitting there, and then they are translating it and setting it out, and that means that it's the dictionary that might have the control of the language and the meaning of it related to it. And then you actually crowd out the knowledge and the insight related outside, and can be very much space for emotion and authority. And in that way, we can see there's a lot of sort of multiple Chinese rooms. I mean, we also have a lot of non-governmental institutions, the World Economic Forum, we have the accreditation board, we have the accounting standard setters that make something related to that, and say what is actually related to actually the world related to it. And that is in a danger, because we have to understand the phenomenon. We have to understand actually what is the factual possibilities related to it and see the pragmatic truth. So when we send out a strategy and say this is what you have to do, then we also have to understand what are the implications. And our measurement system has a tendency not to cover it. So that leads to the last slides, which what we have tried to build on related to it, and that is, or the second slide, that we have tried to say that we need to develop a more comprehensive measurement system, and that was in accounting for a better world. So we need a more conceptual frame to establish corporate to constitute a sustainable things, and that is related to that we have to formulate what are the basic values related to it. And we have to formulate, find out what are the real instrumental values to do that and develop measurement for that. I don't say it's easy, but we need to have more insight in what are the measurements related to actually to create sustainable good life for and instrument to have the sustainable relation to that, and then based on that also to have measures, and that is also related to what is actually sustainability. Yes, in our definition, it is related also to technology. So we cannot say in the end we are all dead in some way, but sustainability is in some way to postpone the time when we are coming to the decline. So we need technology to have a new technology that can extend the line for the problem and then motivate to create that related to it. Yeah, so finally, I can say everything does not go. There is a need for reconstruction of realism. We have in academic has too much, oh yes, that is a viewpoint. Everything does not go. And we suggest then pragmatic constructivism as a paradigmatic basis. We need to develop a value system. What are actually the basic and real instrumental values? We need to have performance management of causality related to actually create these real instrumental values. And that is not just a centralized task related to it, because the real values is not to have a centralized tyranny. And then we need sort of to have better language games of performance measurement. We need to have criteria for measurement concepts. We need to sort of lay to this integration and develop the methods over time related to and test our knowledge. And then in the digitalization, we have to consider what is behind it, I think, and then we have that. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for a very didactic presentation. Yeah, you have a lot of questions here. I have wrote down some questions, but I put only one for you, and then you move on for the question for the public, okay? And I have wrote down a question that how accountants or managers would help the actors or on co-creation or co-authorship. The fact that in etc. An idea to construct a better reality. That's the question. How you construct a better reality as a manager or
yes, as an accounting. I think that, I mean, we are trying to find some of the good practices of accountants. And we have seen this about that accountants who actually, I mean, they know that you cannot just use the money, whatever, but they try to have a constructive language games to say, is it, for instance, I've seen at an art museum that there was that the sort of the curators, they want a fantastic art museum, but or artistic project, but then he tried to ask for the justification of it and saying this is a lot of money, this is a problem for us, and then there was actually some who say, oh yes, but then we can actually say something here. So actually, if you have sophisticated language games, then you can have people on your side sometimes. I don't say it's always. I mean, it's always like that, but there are possibilities related to that. And I think we have to, and there are actually people out there who can do it. But of course, I mean, you have this case related to the language games between women who have been in crime. And of course, it's not easy. I don't say everything is easy, but we can do better practices.
Sure. Fully agreed. Yeah.
And teach students to do better. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Professor. Another question we have time, how do people desires and values influence their decision-making process within organizations, especially in the context of striving for good life? Good life again.
Okay, I'm not, how should we make the decision related to this? I think this related to, I hope I answered the question. I think this about deciding what is the good life is a challenge related to it.
Yeah.
But I think we have to realize that it's not only, if you look at all the rock stars who have a lot of money and they don't seem to have a good life. So I think we can read this about how to thrive. And I think we need much more debate on that. And then, of course, it should not only be the good life for Bill Gates related to it. Yeah. So I think... And I think, of course, we can start to talk about that related to it. And as a company, maybe, I don't know, maybe they can get a good business out of creating good life. I think actually there are some more and more, if I look at, they want people, of course, Denmark is, people are generally not so poor, but I think that more and more people, they don't want all of this stuff.
Sure. Yeah,
they want simple life.
Good point. They're not so.
And of course, I mean, there is this question about if you live beyond the minimum, then there's another thing. But
about your values, ambition, sure.
Yeah, but I think it's important to discuss it and to develop project on what is actually, and maybe so,
Okay, thank you, Professor. Another question, how do accounting models, being human constructs, account for uncertainty in financial transactions, such as time horizon and human intentions, while still aiming to produce reliable economic value statement?
How they should account for uncertainty? I think that I mean, uncertainty in pragmatic constructivism is related to this about how strong can you build up the argument for integration, for possibilities. So later, will he pay? I mean, will it work? And the more uncertainty of the steps that leads to this and this situation, the more uncertain it is. So when you make a research and development, then in the beginning it can be more and more sort of uncertain, and then you can see at what. I think this about, do they know how they will make it work? And that, I think that's different from having a sort of a person with high energy, we have to do this and this. Yes, that's fine. But how can you tell me how it will work?
Yeah, possibility. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Move forward. Sorry. Move on. Okay. I will drop a new question. If you come in the third one now, when linking factual possibilities to values, how can organization ensure that this possibility support the sustainability of good life? And here we instruments values for all stakeholders involved.
Yeah, I think we have. I think we have to do more research related to, for instance, when you talk about, there is a tendency to say what is actually the good working life.
Yeah,
I think we have to I think a lot of people who are working also in Sao Paulo, they're stressed, and
sure.
yeah. And
like
also the work,
there
are also, yes, the work situation, and they get so much, and then in order to handle it, then the company offers maybe a condi or fitness center and things like that. But is this the problem? I don't think so. I think we have to, and I don't know, but in Denmark we have a lot of, I think we talk about non-value adding work, in particular in the public sector. A lot of bureaucracy that is made by people just to have a job. So I think that's different. But of course, I think there's a lot of things to develop. It's just, and I don't have the answer for everything, but I think this about trying to go more on the, So if you have,
possibilities for new research. They're mainly public sector, as you said. Great.
We have all the bureaucrats around, and they tell you a lot of things, and they have never. And if they see a student in the classroom, they run away. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. Incoming fourth question on the Better World Good Life team. Based on her field to work, how the notion of better life understood different across various cultural and social contexts. I think it's regarding more about good life, how you see that between the context and cultural and something like that.
And what is I think, I mean, I'm not, if I get I think the good life is about people sort of thriving and I think many people can like to do a work. So you have in some way to have this activity. Of course, there are also work that is not so nice to do, but still, I mean, I think it can be valuable to do something that is not so nice to do because it's valuable.
Yeah, it needs to be done. Some kind of job.
But I think this about also trying to have more respect. I mean, and not so much just you have to do this and you have to do that. And, I don't know.
Okay, agreed. Thank you, Professor.
If I look at Denmark, I mean, 150 years ago, there was, I mean, Denmark lost Norway and a lot of things, and it became a very small country. But actually what make it succeed was actually something what they call co-ops, where there was a lot of motivation from from local, from farmers and and many people are quite creative.
That's good. And guys, organizers, we will have more time for 2 questions or not? No, Thiago?
Only more one.
One more, okay. I'll pick up another one. Are you optimistic that the disclosure of environment indicators being prepared by accountants will be helpful in achieving the good life? Yeah, that's tricky. Yeah.
No, I mean, what? I think that what we see, I mean, in research, there's a lot related to legitimization, and I can see that, for instance, in Denmark we have this Danish industry, and they give money to research on this, and they give money to those who will say hallelujah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
I mean, this is so we have something, so related to that. Of course there is, but I'm still sort of thinking that there are many good people, and if we can in some way, and of course related to there are a lot of people with good insight in research and have ideas, and then we have these ranking lists, and what is it? You know who dominates it. So we have to do something related to that.
Sure. Yeah, need to check the reality. Yeah.
I mean, yes, related to, because I think in some of this is also that university scholars are not allowed to use their head anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I think I have reading the majority of questions. I have more, but the time is run out. And maybe I very thank for you, Professor Hanne, for your time here and presenting our conference. It was a pleasure to have you here. Then I left the word to Thiago.
Okay, thank you. It was a pleasure, Dr. Hanne. We close today's online lecture. Remember that following the meeting schedule, there will be an in-person event later at 7 p.m. at the Wilson de Souza Lopes Auditorium at Mackenzie University São Paulo campus, and we invite you all to join us. Thank you a lot for your participation. Thanks for Professor Liliane for being the organizing of this, and thanks again, Professor Hanne, for sharing all this knowledge with us. Have a great day.
I would like to say thank you very much for listening to me, and if we can have a possibility to go on with the discussion in another way, I would be happy to do that.
Thank you, Professor. It was amazing.
And I think and I'm very impressed by your ideas and thoughts on education.
Okay, thank you.
And research.
Thanks.
Yeah,
thanks a lot, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Have a wonderful day.
Bye
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.